Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. It's really weird, this lighting. I cannot get myself into a good lighting that I'm happy with. It just makes me look a bit grey. But anyway, enough of that. Today I am popping up for the first time in a long time to do a non-live video because I put in a Charlotte Tilbury order and I ordered some of the new Super Nude collection. Now, I'm absolutely in love with this. This, I think, is one of the most stunning instant look size in a palette. You'll see this one I was showing you yesterday, which I'll just quickly give a polish. This was their original Glowgasm palette, which was pretty, but this is absolutely stunning. I just love that packaging. Now, if I open it, you will see I've been very good. And I actually have not swatched or done anything with it so far. There we are. So I'm really going to dig in, but just to quickly do an intro. So in this new collection, some of it's new, some of it's not so new. And thank you to all of you on my live that told me about this yesterday. So we have the eye palette, which many of you will have got quite a while ago now. 6-7 months ago, the Super Nudes palette, which is an all matte palette, and I have actually used this a lot since I got it, as you can probably see. So that's part of the collection, along with this face palette and 5 lipsticks. Now, I ordered 2 lipsticks. The reason being, I have one of them already, so I've got 3 out of the 5. Now, yesterday, there's one that's exclusive to charlottetilbury.com. Wasn't showing yesterday. Today, it's popped up, and I've ordered it immediately because it is a kissing formula, or not a matte formula. And I always prefer the non-matte versions of Charlotte's lipsticks, especially her nude lipsticks. And her most recent, was it Super Nude? I think it was. They've all got such similar names. But the one that was actually the kissing formula is one that I use a lot. I've used it probably more than any of the other ones recently. And so I immediately ordered the exclusive one. Now, I'm going to put the names down the bottom of the screen. The exclusive one will come up first here. So can you see that going across the screen now? Hopefully you can. Then we have the 2 that I've got, which are Super Fabulous and Catwalking. The one that I already had, which is Supermodel. And then there's 2 more. And again, I can't remember the names, so I'm going to put them down the bottom here. Right, so there's 5 in total. The one that I didn't get because I thought it was too pale for me and would make me look like a corpse. And that one is called this. That's how I'm going to get around it now. I used to know all Charlotte Tilbury lipstick names, like the back of my hand, but she's getting more and more Super this and Gasm that. And so many of the names are really similar, it just confuses me. All right, now listen, I have been dying to dig into this makeup. And I could get into swatches first, but I just want to get this on my face so I can get a feel for it. Supposedly, although this looks like the Glowgasm collection, supposedly this is a new formula, and I really want to see if that's true. So I'm going to do a quick look, and I'm actually going to see if I can put some of this on my eyes as well with the eyeshadow palette. And then I'm going to come back. I'll do a fast forward through all of this, and I'll come back and I'll tell you what my thoughts are and tell you about some of the swatches. And then on another day, I'm going to do some swatch comparisons with some of the earlier releases like Super 90s and things like that. Okay, so let's get going. Now, I might talk through some of this because on my live yesterday, people were saying they were a bit concerned that this was quite grey, and I was explaining that a grey sculpt shade is not necessarily a bad thing. Now, what concerned me looking at this is it didn't look to be that universal for people who perhaps are more tanned like myself. So I just want to see, now I've put on my base. Actually, it does show up in a very subtle way, but it does. I didn't think that was going to show up. Yes, it does. I like, now that is one of my favourite sculpt shades. It is my favourite sculpt shade from Charlotte because it looks like a proper sculpt shade. Now, if you're a lot fairer, it's going to look even more grey. So just go easy on it and put it where the hollow is. Don't use this particular shade here as a bronzer because it's too grey. It'd be excellent also for, I'm going to build this up because I really want to see it a little bit more just to show up on camera. I'm very pleasantly surprised by that because I am a bit worried that this is not going to be that universal for everyone. It's more for fairer people. Now I'm going to just pinch this contour brush and use this as a nose sculpt. Yep, I'll just give it a bit of a, making sure I go right up in here because you can't just stop the shadow. Not bad. I'm going to get a feel for the formula in a minute when I start doing swatches. I'm not convinced it's a new formula, I have to say. But I haven't tried the highlighter shade yet. Now I'm going to use this one because this one is more of a bronzing shade. And this one does look quite dark. So if you're a bit more tanned, then you could actually mix these two to use as a sculpt. I'm just going to use this as a bronzer. And actually, I'm not going to use that because it doesn't pick up enough product. I'm going to use Charlotte's bronzing brush, which is this big. This is her original bronzing brush. And I'm just going to pick that up on my brush, tap it off a bit, and let's see. Not sure that this is showing up wildly on me. Let's put some this side and then have a look. Yeah, a bit. It's subtle, but then it's called the Nude Gasm palette. So it's not designed to be an ultra summer glowy palette. I'm also, when I'm doing this, I'm trying to think about people that are darker than me that are actually going to be using this palette. Because last time when she brought out her Glowgasm, she brought out 2 shades, one for darker skin tones and one for lighter skin tones. Yeah, I think you could mix these two together for sculpting, and you could definitely, if you're fairer skinned or my skin tones, you could use this for bronzing. Let's put a little bit up here. Now, I think at the moment, my first impression is I can't see that much difference with the formula of this. I am going to do another little dig into my old Glowgasm palette. But to me, it seems quite similar. But the real test will be when I start using the blush and the highlighter, because these are actually shimmery. And that tends to be when you find out. Now, I'm just going to get a blush brush and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm now going to use this. It's a lovely peachy pink. And I suspect that this stamping will also, as it starts to come away, will start to pick up more product. At the moment, I'm not seeing that it's building up, but it's bringing off an awful amount. But let's see. Again, it's a subtle look. But can you see it on me? I'm just looking also in this mirror in front of me. You can, but it's subtle. If you're fairer, you're going to see it more than me. But it's very pretty. It's got a shimmer to it, but it's not a shimmer that is going to make you... It's not an unflattering shimmer. Some shimmers can be a bit... They can show up your pores. But that is not doing that. It's just a nice kind of glow. Okay, so that is the blush. I'm just going to dab a little bit more on. I'm deliberately going over the top so that because of my skin tone and because of the camera, you might not be able to see it as much as you'd like. So I'm deliberately doing it a bit over the top. And now I'm going to go in with this highlighter. I can't wait to try this. And again, just picking up with my sculpt brush. Let's see. Oh yes, it is picking up. Actually, I think this is probably a little bit more pigmented than the Glowgasm palettes were when I first used them. So they probably have worked a little bit more on the pigment. Look at that, that's very pretty. I wouldn't say it's a hugely different formula from the feel of it, but it definitely, I think, with the Glowgasm palettes, the Lovegasm and Glowgasm, you really had to start digging beyond some of this stamping in order to get the proper pigment out. So that is the face palette. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly rush through, because I said I wasn't going to talk through all this. I'm going to just do a little bit of an eyeshadow look, and I'm going to, because it's all matte, I'm going to put a couple of shimmers at the end and tell you what I've done. And I'm just going to fast forward through that bit so we can get onto the lipsticks. But if you haven't seen this, this is the eyeshadow, and I will swatch this later along with everything else. Now, of course, if we're going for a strictly 90s type look, which is what this is supposed to be, this collection is supposed to be in homage to, you would leave the eyeshadow completely matte. But, you know, I feel that as I've got to this age that I am, that I won't just go with fashion or what's currently in trend. I'll go with what suits me. So partly matte is good because I've got hooded lids, but I feel that I need to have a little bit, something a little bit more shimmery on my lids, because otherwise my mobile lid disappears in my hoodedness. So I'm just going to take a little bit of, I'm actually going to be a bit inventive here and take a little bit of the blush with my finger, because I also want to feel this formula a little bit. And I'm going to put this on first. So nothing to say you can't use these on your eyes. Yeah, they definitely feel like they've got more pigment in than the previous Lovegasm palettes. That's actually a very pretty colour to have on the lid. Very pretty. And then I'm going to take some of the highlighter shade and just dot that in the centre. Just brings my lids alive a bit. My mobile lid. And I'm going to use a little bit to highlight in the usual places, which is in here, and a little bit. I really don't like matte highlighter under my brow. I prefer, even when I'm doing matte on the rest of my eyes, I definitely prefer to have a light reflecting brow highlight up there. Always have. Just never sits right with me. Now, I forgot to mention, hopefully I will have put it under the screen by now, but I forgot to mention one part of this new collection, which is the eyeliner, which again, I've been a very good girl. I have not even opened yet. So I'm going to open this. Now, this reminds me of the Exaggerize pencil, which you know she bought out recently, which had black one end, and then at the other side, it had a kind of shimmery nude shade. So this one is not a shimmery nude shade, and I think, let me have a look, is this more of a brown? I think this is more of a browny black. No, it looks quite black actually. What does it say? Let me just check. That's not bad. It's not as good as my favourite, in my opinion. My favourite is still her powder pencil in black. But it is actually softer than some. It's definitely a different formula to her Rock and Coal. And it feels soft, but not too soft. That it starts transferring immediately. So not bad. Now, this is the one I wanted to try. Is this just her eye cheat in a double pencil? We shall see. I think they've listened to feedback about the waterline, because that actually goes on a lot easier than the last Exaggerize pencil in the waterline. The question is going to be whether it stays. And of course, with this, it's not a shimmery highlight, but you can use this in other ways. You can use this to kind of line your lips if you want. Remember, I showed you all the uses that you can use for your highlighter pens. I'm just going to wipe that off, and I'm just going to put a little bit more here. Yeah, that's not bad. I have a feeling that that might just, we'll see, it might just last. It feels like it's sticking to the waterline, and it doesn't look too startled. So I'm going to put some mascara on, and I'll be right back, and we'll try out the lipsticks. Okay, so that is the eye look, and I think that this could be a very versatile palette actually for people that just want, I know that I've used this a lot as an everyday palette, the Super Nudes eye palette. And if you like this, but you really want a little bit of a shimmer just as well, just to add something a bit more interesting, these two together could be really good everyday kit for somebody going to work. And also, if you're not going to work, but you have to do a lot of Skype calls, you're not going to look overly done up, but you are going to just look naturally well groomed. Now, let's start on these lipsticks that I have. So, I'm going to leave all the swatches in a minute, but I picked 2 of them, and I've got another one coming tomorrow, the exclusive one, that is the kissing formula. And again, I'll put the name of that one here. That one's coming. It may not arrive tomorrow. It may arrive on Monday. But I got Catwalking and I got Super Fabulous. And I've also got from my old collection, Supermodel, which I've definitely used a lot because it is my perfect nude shade for me. So, haven't tried these on, haven't swatched them. You can see they are virgin lipsticks. So let's go, first of all, with Catwalking. And I'm not going to put any lip liner on because I want you to see this without any lip liner underneath. So you see the colour as it is. That's a really nice peachy undertone. Very nice for a no makeup look. But not too pale for someone of my skin tone. I keep laughing to myself because I keep thinking of that phrase that one of you once typed about Charlotte's 50 Shades of Elastoplast. If you're waiting for a cool pink, you're not going to get that in this collection, okay? Now, I'm going to take this off and I'm now going to try on Super Fabulous, which is a darker nude. And I have a feeling that this one might be the one that suits me best. Okay, let's try Super Fabulous. I would say that this is a slightly warmer version of Super 90s. And I will get on to do swatch comparisons. I'm going to do that in the next couple of days. So have no fear, that's coming up next. So this one is Super Fabulous. Okay, I've taken that one off because I have Supermodel, and I'm assuming that this Supermodel that's been released is the same Supermodel as she released probably a couple of years ago now. It does say it's back in stock, so I think it is the same version of it's the same. It's called the same anyway. So this one I would describe as the matte version of my perfect nude. And I always used to call this medium pillow talk. And so did Sophia Tilbury before medium pillow talk came out. But it's slightly warmer than medium pillow talk. So I'll put this on next. And what I mean by a perfect nude, I'm going to tell you what I mean in a minute. So that is Supermodel. I'll take that picture and I'll be right back. Okay, so what I mean when I'm talking about a perfect nude is if I was to take my lipstick off and look at my natural lip shade, it's whatever your natural lip shade would be. If you actually just painted it, your natural lip shade so that it just evened out the skin tone. Now you can see that mine is it's got quite a bit of pink in it, which is why, but it's quite a muted pink. And that's why I say that Supermodel is actually a very close match to my natural lip colour. So if you're looking for a perfect nude, some people think that a perfect nude is something that's quite pale on them. It's not. There's lots of really good videos where Bobbi Brown talks about this. But if you hold that up to my lips, it looks very similar to my natural lip colour. Now, if I hold up Catwalking to my natural lips, you'll see that it's no doubt quite a bit paler than my natural lips. But this might be somebody else's perfect nude. See? And it's got more brown in it. So it's a fun thing to do, because when you do find your perfect nude, it is one that you will use a lot. It's a lipstick that you will use a lot because you can put it on and it just gives you that well-groomed look without looking like you're overly done up. Now, if I take Super Fabulous, this is probably quite a bit darker than my natural lip colour. But I like dark lipsticks, so one of my favourites is the Pillow Talk Intense. But that is more brown and darker than my natural lip colour. So it's something you can do. It's a really good fun thing to do, is hold up lipsticks and see which one is closest to your skin tone. So if you're looking in this collection for your perfect nude, that's something that you can sort of play around with. Or when you're looking at the swatches on my video or on Instagram. Anyway, I'm whittling on. I'm going to leave you now with swatches of the face palette, the eye palette, and the 3 lipsticks. And here's the other lipstick, which arrived as I was editing the video. So this is Runway Royalty. And actually, when it arrived and I looked at it, it reminded me so much of Penelope Pink that I had to go and get Penelope Pink and swatch it as well, which you'll see in a minute. Although ironically, this has actually got more pink in it than Penelope Pink, which you'll see in a minute. I did think it was going to be darker than it was, and it did look quite pale on me. But actually, I think I will get away with it when I've got a full base of makeup on. As you can see this morning, do excuse me, no makeup on, just trying it on for you guys. And I think, yeah, it will look better once I've got a full face of makeup, but a little bit lighter than I would have hoped. Okay. Okay, so I think that this collection is probably not the most exciting collection in the world, because it's all about nudes and it's all about very muted colours. Having said that, it is going to be a very serviceable collection, and certainly for people, as I've said earlier on in the video, for going to work, I think it's a really good kit to have. I'm actually quite impressed, having done the swatches of the pigment that's coming up on my arm from those face palettes. So they have changed the formula, because you had to really scrub quite hard on the other ones before to actually get the pigment going. You had to get underneath that print that they put on the top. So I'm quite impressed with that. I'm not sure that it is as universal as it should be. I know that there are models on Charlotte Tilbury's website who are darker skin tone to me, but I would say that these two here are going to be very, very subtle on anyone darker than me. This is a beautiful peachy shade, and I think this will show up. I'm just not so sure about the bronzer and the sculpting shade, but it's a very good sculpting shade if you want to bring your cheeks in. And I just looked at myself in another light, and I definitely look slimmer in the face because it's more of a grey tone, a shadow tone, more like the Kevin Aquan type sculpting shades, that full shade, than anything Charlotte's brought out before. So it really depends on if you're looking for something sort of mega exciting to wear for a Christmas party, then this really isn't your collection. If you can't wait to get something a bit more cool tone from Charlotte Tilbury, then this probably isn't your collection. But if you want a really good serviceable face palette, which don't forget, the face palette can be used on your eyes as well. So if maybe you weren't that keen on getting an all matte palette, this is something you could use. And that sculpt shade that I used there can be used in the socket very nicely as a kind of transition shade. Just some ideas. So I will put all the details below and you can see all the prices. Any questions, please put your questions below. Take care and have a lovely day. Bye-bye. Love you. Mwah.